All right, and we should be live now.
All right. Good morning, everybody. It is 9:03 a.m. on Tuesday, August the 11th. I'd like to call this meeting, Personnel Committee meeting to order, and note that the public and press have been duly notified in accordance with the Freedom of Information Act. We are virtual due to the COVID-19 pandemic. First order of business is approval of the previous meeting's minutes.
I move that we approve, Mr. Chair.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Citizens' comments. There were no comments received during the public via the public comment form. So we'll just move right along to old business, where we're looking for an update on the wage and compensation study.
All right. Good morning, everyone. So as you all know, the FY21 budget that was approved included funds for the city to pursue a procurement process and a competitive procurement process to conduct a wage and compensation study. Have not started, other than developing the scope of services, we have not made a whole lot of progress on this so far. However, our timeline would indicate that in the next 30 to 45 days, we should be able to get the full RFP document completed, advertised, and proposals received. When Nat has reached out to our HR listserv of HR, the HR community around the state to get examples of their RFPs, and some people have been gracious enough to provide examples of their compensation studies so that we can maybe have an idea of what the work product will be. But what I would like to do is, once we receive proposals, maybe we can narrow it down to a handful, maybe 2 or 3, and then bring them before the committee so that we can interview them and make sure that the expectations and goals are clear and we all feel comfortable engaging a company to assist us during this process. As you all know, last time it was a little, I don't think it met everybody's expectations, and it wasn't necessarily productive in the sense that we had a work product that folks felt confident in. And I'd really like to learn from that experience and not make the same mistakes, I guess, so that at the end of the day, the city feels confident in the process, the methodology, and then the work product. Ideally, in terms of timing, I think everybody would agree that we would like to get a full work product before we start working on the FY22 budget. In the event that I think one of the goals, as stated in the scope of work, is an implementation plan, whether it's a 1 year, 2 years, 3, 4, 5-year implementation plan, to be able to implement the recommendations that come from that report. So to me, that's, I'm starting backwards from, I want to make sure that we have it by this date, and then work backwards from that. So that's where we are. We haven't, after the budget was approved in June, we haven't had a whole lot of free time to work on this, but certainly as we start picking up and working on the projects that were included in the FY21 budget, this is definitely one priority. And when that will definitely be involved in drafting the RFP, making sure that the scope of work is comprehensive, and also reaching out to her counterparts to get a really good list of people that we would like for them to submit proposals for this work. So that's what we have. If anybody has any additional comments or suggestions that we need to incorporate or think as we finalize the draft scope of work, then I'd be happy to hear from you all. As we kind of start this, go through this process very soon.
Mm-hmm.
Desiree, it looks like the objectives and the scope of work, looks like it's covered pretty much everything. So I would just say that, as soon as we can get that RFP out there, and I guess there's probably a number of companies or whatever, for lack of a better word, that do this kind of work professionally. So yeah, I think the sooner the better. And I get this ought to align with whatever work we start doing with the strategic plan as well.
And about the strategic plan, we have a follow-up meeting with the staff of the Riley Center this afternoon. The work that's been done is a lot of data and basically working on the demographics and the what they call the environmental scan. That's a lot of research on the background to kind of set the work up. So that's that's definitely on schedule when we were talking about having that work being done in the fall. So we'll be getting more information for council very soon on when the first strategic planning meeting will be scheduled with full council. So definitely, I think would be both projects or both both initiatives will be aligned.
Right. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir, thank you. Number one, I'm glad we're doing this. I think it's critical that we look at our employees as our most important assets that we have. But it kind of distressed me this past week looking at North Charleston laying off 136 employees. And that's one of the biggest cities in the state. And it also, believe it or not, it relies on tourism. They got the Tanger Center and the stuff like that. So they're very tourism related too. So, again, we need to go forward with this, but I think Lynette's going to be able to, when she reaches out to her cohorts across the low country and the state, and especially those who are tied to tourism, I think it's going to be interesting to see how everybody is faring and how long this COVID-19 hangs in there. I was told it was going to be gone by this summer, but it's the highest number we've been to date yet. So anyway, I'm glad we're doing it.
Great.
Yep. Agreed. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And my comment, it'll be really helpful to have some example studies, hopefully from the people who are actually submitting the RFPs that come from customers of theirs directly. So that HR listserv might be really great. Did you say we've already gotten some samples or not yet?
Oh, yes.
We have. Do any of the samples include an implementation plan?
I think so. Right, Lynette, I believe so. We looked at it over the summer. I'd have to go back and take a look at them again, but I believe so. Yeah. I mean, I think that the mayor brought a really good point. When we started talking about this, it was pre-COVID, right, and pre everything. And I think that one component that I would like to stress, I guess, through the RFP or even through the interviews is how do we align that, right, of where we are in the realities of today of our community being impacted by tourism, with how do we balance that with also the need of ensuring that our staff is well compensated. So it'll be an interesting process, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly where I was headed, Desiree. I agree. The mayor makes really good observation, and as long as we're including that, it's I don't want to say it's maybe a silver lining of this pandemic is that we're probably going to ask for a more robust analysis than we would have, and that I think will serve us in the long term better because it's not just a rosy path. Here's what compensation should look like, but rather one that's kind of how do you consider what you do with compensation in the midst of the sunny path and the COVID path and everything in between. Good deal. All right. Any other comments or questions?
Nope.
On that? All right. We don't have any items under new business. So I'm going to move along to miscellaneous before we get to next meeting. Any miscellaneous from Mr. Mayor or Councilmember Streeman?
None from me, Mr. Chair.
No, sir. I'm good.
I've got one item that I apologize for not getting on the agenda. Just in general, would love to hear from our staff here, kind of a finger on the pulse of how our staff is doing, the the 90 some odd employees that we've got working for the city. I think that the longer this pandemic goes on, the more difficult, the more stress everyone in the country and the world, in fact, is under. And would just love to kind of get your take on that. And one item that we didn't put on to new business was our annual employee appreciation. And so I think those two things are somewhat related in terms of how is our team doing, how's everyone feeling, what's their level of engagement, and maybe on the subsequent agenda, that's something that we should put on. Is maybe it's not something that we need to address. Maybe things are going well, but if there's something that we need to consider doing, let's surface that in our next meeting. But would love just kind of your gut reaction to how's engagement and how is the team feeling.
I think the mayor wants to say something.
John, I couldn't agree more. I think the Employee Appreciation Day that we held last year was incredible. My hat's off to staff for putting it together. Lynette, you did a good job on that. I mean, the employees had a lot of fun. I forgot those games that we were playing, but I think everybody had a good time and everybody was recognized, and people like to be recognized. And even if we are in tough times right now, sometimes that's money that's well spent, is recognizing our employees. Not sometimes, it is always. Okay, I'm done.
Interestingly, we talked about, when Nat and I and Ron when we were drafting this agenda, we talked about, the future or the plans associated with the employee appreciation event. And, maybe it looks different this year, but we certainly need and should do something. I think from council's perspective, it's always been an event that council hosts for all employees. And we felt like talking with the department heads before and getting their feedback on what that looks like. And certainly we'll put it on the agenda for next month once we get more feedback from not only the department heads, but also the committee that was instrumental in planning the event last year, which was a really collaborative effort from all departments. And I guess to your question or your other question, John, certainly it's a difficult time for everybody. There's a lot of stress and there is a lot of uncertainty. I think that the city has done a good job at trying to avoid any impacts to our personnel. I think that really sent the right message to our staff that when things were starting to get real rough and we didn't know what the true impact of this COVID-19 pandemic would be on our economy and our finances and our community, that we really took a hard, deep look at everything that could be delayed and could be changed and could be reduced, but not looking at our staff as the first line of potential savings. I think that really sent the right message and helped to ease a lot of the stress and a lot of the concerns and that this unprecedented situation just had on all of us. I think people are holding up pretty well. I would also say that not only the COVID-19 pandemic, but the situation around law enforcement has also been pretty shocking for me as the city administrator. Leading 5 departments has been it's been instrumental to stay in touch with people and with the department heads and make sure that they know that the community supports them and that city council and the staff supports them every day, because it's a hard job to do anyway, and it's even a harder job when you see the tough situation that they can be faced with. So it's a hard time, and I think we're all doing the best we can. Thankfully, we have great resources that we provide to our employees. Our EAP program has been, I think, very well used. It provides, resources for the staff and their families to be able to manage difficult situations. And that's something that we didn't have before. And when that was really instrumental in making sure that the city implemented it and became, it became a really good part of our human resources strategy when it comes to providing resources to our employees. So Wynette, I don't know if you want to add anything to that as HR, but I think that we're all trying to figure this out really, and our employees usually take the brunt of it by being the first line of defense for our community. So I think that anything that we can do to show support and show that we have their back is very well received and very much appreciated.
Totally agree. Everything Desiree said, yes. I send out EAP information and updates pretty frequently to all employees via their email, and have things posted so that they know that there are resources out there with EAP. And we try to, as you say, just recognize, the employees in the difficult times that we're all in and what a great job they're doing. So I think they're all doing pretty well at this point.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think it would be great. I mean, to Desiree and the mayor's point too, in regards to employee appreciation, if we try to do something this year, I mean, I don't know how that looks. I mean, you're going to have to figure that out, as you said earlier, Desiree. But anytime we can get our group together, our city employees as a group, and recognize them and let them know how much we appreciate them, I think that would be a great thing to do. So I'm hoping we can pull that off in light of all the COVID issues, that sort of thing. It really would be important, I think.
All right. Well, no action on miscellaneous business, but we'll dive into that next month. In fact, on good seg into our next meeting, which will be on Tuesday, September the 8th. That is the day following Labor Day. So
do we want to,
like a Monday.
Do we want to stay with that day? That date, I know the other committees have been changing their dates to the following week, but I mean, I'm okay with the 8th if everybody else is, but just throwing it out there.
I'm thinking about timing. I'm hoping that, if we can get that RFP done by the end of this week, if we can have it out for about 3 weeks and try to get as many proposals as we can. So maybe it doesn't hurt moving it to the following Tuesday in the event that we want to schedule those interviews of prospective vendors. Mm-hmm. Maybe we can have that done that following Tuesday, if that's fine with everybody.
That's good with me.
Good with me.
15th at 9 a.m.
Right.
So that would be what day? The 15th? Yeah. Okay.
Tuesday.
All right. Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Moving on. No need for executive session. Your motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank y'all. Good seeing you.